Hey, I'm Wendie V, and I'm a coach for socially conscious entrepreneurs. I am here to help you figure out how to use your story to make a bigger impact and to reach your most important audiences. Storytelling is so important if you are a nonprofit or a solo founder for a nonprofit organization. It is the foundation of how you are going to garner support for the impact that you are making. So, today we're going to talk all about how you can go through the process to become an expert storyteller. Take a listen. First things first, you are going to identify your key messages. Key messages are very important. It's what you're going to say over and over again to make sure that people understand who you are, what your organization does, and what kind of an impact you make. Things like, what is the mission of this organization? Or what are your values and your goals? Or how are you actually making an impact in the world? These are important parts of your key messages, and you want to make sure that you are saying them over and over again. You are going to use effective storytelling techniques in order to do this. And that means that you're going to help people connect with the story behind the impact that you make. That might be through personal information that you share about people's journeys that you share with, of course, their permission. Now, it might include vignettes or videos or even audio of what has happened for people as you've made an impact in their lives, or how you've changed a social condition or an issue. There's lots of different ways that you can demonstrate your impact through storytelling, but you have to capture the essence of what is the impact that you're making and then convey it to people who have no idea who you are or who have no idea exactly what you do. So it's really important how you tell the story. You want to do that in an authentic way, in a way that truly represents the work that you're doing and demonstrates that you can be trusted as an organization. We know in the past that sometimes nonprofits particularly have not been authentic or have not been forthcoming or have used funds in the wrong way. And the narrative that comes out of that is that all nonprofits cannot be trusted. So, of course, we're already uphill battle trying to show people that we are organizations that can be trusted. And the way to do that is to come through authentically. You can help people understand your ups and your downs in your journey and really work with you on supporting you and your organization through both those high and low times. Now, coming through authentically means that you want to transparently share information about your organization, how you do your work, and how your work aligns with the visions and the values that you're saying really govern who you are and what you do. And the other way that you want to create this engaging content is to use really strong visuals to help people connect visually to the messages that you're sharing. The visuals can be through video, through audiograms, which is a audio piece along with a really cool visual that you can create. It could be images, or it could be even just static created images that you have information on. So there's a lot of different ways to get the information out visually, but you want to connect this narrative and this story and the impact that you make and the key messages that you have along with this visually engaging content. And then, of course, where are you going to do with all of this? You're going to put it on the platforms that you have to connect with people. And you're going to use those platforms to reach more people and get more support. That could include your email list, your website, that might include your social media channels, and it might also include some sort of text messaging campaign that you have. There's lots of ways to connect to your most important audiences, and you want to explore the ones that make the most sense for you and what your goals are right now with your communications. There's a couple of different tips that I wanted to give you before we end. And then I want to end with a story. You got to make sure that you keep it real, right? Whatever you're sharing in your information, in your videos, in your content, that it is an actual reflection of you, the organization, and the transformation that you're getting out of your programs and your services. You want to make sure that people can connect personally to the story and the narrative that you're sharing and the information that you're sharing. And that sometimes means that bringing in that personal connection through that story and through the videos of the people you serve is a great way to do that. Sometimes we serve sensitive groups of people, so we can't always make that connection. But if you can aggregate people's experiences or talk about different groups of people that you've served. That's another way to take away from the personalized aspect and still show that you're making an impact. You want to be concise with your messaging, making sure that everything is as small as possible and digestible as possible for people who probably have a small attention span at this point. And you want to have visuals that reflect the audience that you're trying to reach. So if you're working with people of color or BIPOC people, you want to make sure that you're showing diversity in your images and all of those types of ways for people to visually connect you and your goals and your values and your things that are a priority for you and your organization. Lastly, just put yourself out there. It's really important for social entrepreneurs to get their message out. Your message matters. We want more people to be supporting you. When people support you, good work gets done, and that's amazing. So we want to make sure that people have the right calls to action and the ways to support you, the right links and all of that stuff when you put yourself out there. All of these other components are really, really important, not just the content. Now, I'll tell you one quick story before we end. I used to work in the government managing grants, and every cohort of grantees, we would see the same thing. They'd get to the end of 5 years of funding, they wouldn't have any more grants money left over, and they need to sustain their programs. Well, when you need to sustain your programs, it's difficult to do that if you are maybe a group who didn't pay as much communications attention as you should have over the last 5 years. So the people who they needed to support them wouldn't be there to support them because they didn't know them. They didn't know what impact they were making. They didn't know what those people were doing. They didn't even know about the work they were doing at all. So it's difficult for organizations or groups of people to be sustainable when you are not communicating regularly about your impact. That's why it's really important as a nonprofit organization that you make sure to communicate your impact continually and you use some of these tips. In the notes, there's a blog post that can tell you all about how to do this. There's much more detail than this video. And I really give you examples of each of these steps that you can take in order to show your impact and communicate and not be the best kept secret.